north, and then when things get too hot during the summer months down in Florida, that population comes up here. So right here, we're fortunate to be right here in the mid-Atlantic, in one of the largest estuaries in the world, right here in Chesapeake Bay, with a, despite everything we hear about pollution and how poor some of the fishing is, apparently for eagles and osprey, fishing's not all that bad. And as we have seen recently, the fish eagles don't always restrict their diet to just fish. In fact, was it last week, week before last, surf scoter, the sea duck. And you might think that's kind of odd since Lake Whitehurst is freshwater. But we're very, very close to Chesapeake Bay, and particularly out at the end of the runway, just on the other side of Shore Drive and the amphib base over there, is saltwater, Chesapeake Bay. And many times I have seen rafts of scoter and scalp, other sea ducks. In fact, I noticed on the chat people were telling me they couldn't find surf scoter in their bird book, and that's because they were looking under ducks instead of sea duck. The sea duck's a little bit different. So, right, if you were looking under duck, you weren't finding it because that's not where it's hiding out. But they are seen sitting out on Lake Whitehurst. Usually it's not just one or two, it's quite a number of them. Might be 20, 30, because they usually fly around in pretty large groups. And they're all going to head back up north for breeding season. To my knowledge, they don't breed in this area. Nest activity, I guess, is no question about how quickly the chicks grow. Probably right now weighing at least 2 pounds, pretty close to it. It's a guess at this point. You're all probably aware we plan to, the schedule right now is to put leg bands on the 3 chicks on April 21st. We'll do it right over there at the nest tree. We haven't laid out the schematic yet. As everybody knows, the foot traffic is different this year than it's been in prior years, so we're going to have to make some kind of adjustment to that in order to have a little bit of space to bring the birds down to be able to band them. We haven't worked the details of that out, but you'll have as close access as we can come to an agreement on for you. Yes?
Will you do like when the transmitter was last year, you have 2 cameras, have it so that people on the cam can watch on the ground?
Yes, the details of that are being worked out between the garden and WVEC. WVEC actually provided the hookups for that because it has to be able to feed into their system. But that's the plan at this point. It worked really great last year.
Well, with the exception of some people stood in the sunlight, which made a shadow on the bird, and you couldn't see the bird.
Who was that?
They got to move their butt around.
I heard my name several times.
You got a little butt.
I tried to scrunch it up as much as I could. Actually, I was remarking just yesterday to somebody that I needed to make sure I stand back out of the way so I don't block everybody's view of that. But, you know, when you move around every once in a while, that happens. I know we're getting a lot of questions over the sex of the 3 chicks, and we'll try to determine that. As everybody's aware, we didn't get it 100% right last year. Camellia fooled us and didn't continue to grow as much as it did during its early stages. It turned out to be a male rather than female. But I'd say preliminarily it's looking like number 1 is, I don't think there's much doubt we've got a girl there. And probably the other 2 are male, but we'll just have to wait and see how the measurements. when you, 2 days, 4 days is a huge amount of time in the life of these birds. And you know, one of the early questions was how much weight do they gain? And that's not an easy question. As you've all noticed, when they come out of the egg, they're fed the idiot's little bit of food that the male and female can break off of a fish to feed to them, or a squirrel, in this case, since they got a squirrel on their second day. But today, they're getting much bigger pieces. You may have noticed yesterday, when the camera was working for everybody, that there was a really large shad, probably 1.5 pounds or so, and in 15 minutes it was gone. Had that been 2 weeks ago, it would have taken 2 or 3 feedings to be able to feed that much fish, 2 to 3 chicks. But now they're able to polish it off just as fast as the adults can break it off and feed it to them. And you'll notice more frequently there's not food in the nest because the adults have to work much harder to bring the food, have to bring more of it, but it disappears about as quickly as they can bring it in.